Welcome back to In Between Cuisine. I'm Tony Hickman. So I was in the mood for some fried chicken tenders. Now everyone knows the best way to do that is to marinate your chicken in buttermilk overnight and then cook the chicken the next morning. But if you're like me, I didn't think that far ahead. But I want some fried chicken right now. So let me show you a quick and easy way to make some chicken tenders without having to do a marinade overnight. Let's get started.
So the first thing we're going to do is make our breading. Start by putting an egg into a mixing bowl and just whisk that gently with a fork. I mean, you could use a whisk too if you so wish. Just make sure you don't scramble it too much, just give it a good once through. Then we're going to go ahead, add some flour to a separate mixing bowl. I'm just going to be eyeballing this recipe, guys, kind of how I like to cook. So just add some all-purpose flour, followed by some fresh crushed black pepper. You could use white pepper if you like. In fact, it's actually a favorite for chefs to use when making fried chicken, but I don't have any, so I'm using black pepper. A generous portion of some kosher salt. Sea salt works just as good as well. A dash of garlic powder. Don't want to use too much, just give it a little coat there right on the top. And some paprika. So we're going to do a single coating when we're going to fry our chicken, which means you're going to lose some of your golden brown coloring on your chicken. And this is some Chipotle powder. So I want to add this redness into the mixture just because that will cook into the chicken and give it a little more of a vibrant color during the end product, so it's not just completely white. Make sure everything is all mixed together. Next we have our chicken breast. These I accidentally got are the thin chicken breasts instead of the regular size thick chicken breast, but that's all right. We'll make do with what we got. Want to go ahead and slice these into, even pieces, as even as you can. Just pretty much entails just cutting everything right down the center. This little bit of bigger piece I'm going to cut in half and then cut each piece right in the center. And these should be ready to go into our egg wash. Now you can, if you want to, single-handedly, add each piece individually into the egg wash and then into the flour. But we want to do this in a quick and in a hurry because you're wanting your fried chicken soon. So we're just going to put the whole thing in there, all the chicken, and then just mix it together with your hand. And this should evenly coat all of your chicken. So just keep on stirring until everything is nicely coated. Now we've got our flour out. We want to put that directly into this. You want to do individually. So do one piece at a time. Do not jump that whole thing into this flour. Make sure the whole piece of chicken is coated with that flour. And then do that for each piece of chicken that you have. Now, again, these are really thin, so we're only going to do one coating of this. So with thin chicken like that, you don't want too much breading or else you're going to get a whole bunch of breading and not enough chicken flavor. So since these are very thin breasts, one coating, just flour, egg wash and flour. Typically, you'd probably go back to egg wash and back to flour again, or some breadcrumbs to get that nice and thick. But since this is thin, we're going to do it just once. Now back over our stovetop, we're going to heat up some vegetable oil. You could use a frying pan if you want to this, or a big pot, and get that up to temperature over medium to medium high heat. You want to get that to about 350 degrees. Once your oil is at temperature, you want to carefully add your pieces of chicken that we have coated in the flour and egg. Now again, these are very thin slices of chicken, so these are only going to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. When you have a thicker cut of chicken, you're probably going to do about 3 to 4 minutes. So with that oil as well, it's up to you. If you use a lot of oil, you could just submerge them completely and you don't have to worry about flipping them over. I usually just get enough where it coats the bottom, so I'm going to flip these after a couple minutes just to make sure that I am getting both sides nice and cooked evenly. So after about 4 to 5 minutes, these are already ready to go. Get these and let these dry and let that paper towel absorb that oil, and then go ahead and repeat the process for all of your remaining chicken. Once you have completed your second batch, I had 2 batches of chicken. Let's go ahead and make something to dip this into. You can eat it just as is with some barbecue sauce or ranch or whatever you have, in your fridge. But you know what? I like mine with some country gravy. So let's make a really quick country gravy. And I still have this lard that I used for my clam chowder a long time ago. It's just been sitting here. I want to get rid of it. If traditionally you'll want to do bacon grease with that. If you want the most flavor, definitely cook up some bacon and use the bacon grease. But like I said, I want to get rid of this lard. So I'm going to melt that down. And then I have about a half a cup of that same all-purpose flour. And you're going to mix this in. This is going to create a roux. I like using a rubber spatula, especially when using this in the cast iron. That big surface, lets it not stick to the bottom of the pan, other than a whisk, and you get a lot of stickage when you use a whisk. And the little, slits in the spatula will help get rid of a lot of the clumping that you do not want when making your roux or your gravy. So you play this little game. If you think it's not thick enough, you add a little more flour. I added another, half cup of flour. And then you're just going to continuously stir this in just to get rid of all the clumping that the flour will produce. And again, man, it seems like I do this at least once a video. I'm so sorry, everybody. I forgot to push record on the most important part. You add in your milk, and then you continuously, stir that around and keep using that spatula to get rid of all the clumps that the flour wants to make. But just keep on stirring and stirring and stirring. So mine was still a little too thick, so I actually added a cup of water as well, which is why it looks like this made a lot more than I anticipated. I was never actually that good at making gravy, but hey, every time I do it, I get a little bit better. So I also seasoned this with some salt and some pepper. Again, you just stir it continuously, and that's how you make country gravy. Now let's get this onto a plate. Plating for this dish is actually super simple. You put, about 5 chicken tenders onto your plate. Put that gravy into a little glass bowl, or any bowl you got really, and there you have some easy, simple chicken tenders with a country homemade gravy. How easy was that, everybody? So the only thing left to do at this point is to give it a try. And good. It was definitely something that you can make within a few minutes. You really can't see that, but the chicken was cooked perfectly, and the flavor of those spices into the flour came out perfectly. Just an overall good deal.
And so there we have a very simple chicken tender that you can make without having to use a marinade. Now, is that the best chicken finger you've ever had? Of course not. If it was, we would have marinated it in buttermilk overnight and switched up the recipes. You probably would have double coated that breading a little bit. But if you just have a craving for some crispy fried chicken tenders using some minimal ingredients, that's definitely a good option for you to use. So leave any comments down below if you liked it or not. If you want me to cook something, you could name that in the comments too, and I'll give it a try. You can check out a couple of my other videos here. I'm Tony Hickman for In Between Cuisine. I'll see you guys next time.